Austin Perkins took the world by storm last season, where we witnessed the sensationally talented athlete snatch the 74 or 75 kilograms throne from the once ceaseless vice grip of the former three-time IPF World Champion, Taylor Atwood, where we fortunately witnessed Austin broke Taylor's world record squat of 303 kilograms, not once, but twice in the same season. First at the USAPL P3 Grand Prix, and secondly at the USAPL Raw Nationals with a stunning world record squat of 313.5 kilograms, absolutely sweeping away his former world record squat of 305 kilograms just 4 months prior to his world record-setting performance at the P3 Grand Prix. However, not only did Austin forcibly relinquish the squat world record from Taylor, but he also, at last season's USAPL Raw Nationals, absolutely obliterated Taylor Atwood's former world record total of 838.5 kilograms with a new devastating world record total of 851 kilograms, whilst competing at a body weight of 74.2 kilograms, in turn cementing his name as one of the most outstanding athletes within the sport as a whole. To further put his momentous world record total of 851 kilograms into further context, comparatively, within the 2023 powerlifting season, only 2 athletes throughout the history of the weight class totaled 800 kilograms or more, which includes both Austin and Taylor. His seemingly boundless athletic prowess was on full display at the 2024 Powerlifting American National Trials, where Austin set his entire gaze on qualifying for his first IPF World Open Championships. Austin, who graduated from being the prince to now the new outright king of the 74 or 75 kilograms respective weight class, victoriously entered the PA National Trials, where he conservatively surpassed Taylor's total world record of 838.5 kilograms with a splendid, tactful total of 839 kilograms, amazingly by purposefully attempting 7 out of 9 available attempts. Arguably, such braggart mastery on the platform has never been witnessed in the history of the respective weight class. In some instances, it was almost a bold snipe at Taylor and the rest of the weight class in reaffirming his outright current stranglehold on the weight class. At his first appearance at the 2024 IPF World Classic Championships, if each individual athlete's current and last season's competition best totals are considered, Austin had an approximate but substantial median total, which handed him an incredible advantage of 150.25 kilograms over his 23 field of rivals. Whilst it may appear too easy to assume the conclusive outcome whereby Austin comfortably claimed his first Open IPF World title, such would have been somewhat a misstep. Austin had to tackle for both the title and an invite to the forthcoming 2025 Sheffield Championships with an equally ferocious and prime antagonist, the extraordinarily talented former 2017 IPF World Champion, including former total and deadlift world record holder Kjell Bakkelund from Norway, who also had candidly set his eyes on the main prize in securing a second IPF World Classic title and also an invite to the forthcoming 2025 Sheffield Championships. To exemplify Kjell's level of ferocity and unflinching determination, last season he opened as a 74 or 75 kilograms athlete with a season best total of 760 kilograms at the IPF World Classic Championships, where he finished in 4th place. Quite remarkably and rather eyebrow-raising, added a whopping 40 kilograms to his prior season best total of 760 kilograms, where at the European Championships, 6 months after competing at the IPF Worlds, Kjell managed to achieve an impressive total of 800 kilograms, becoming one of only 3 other athletes to total 800 kilograms or more throughout the history of the weight class, as I stated earlier, in just 6 months. But he wasn't content with an 800 kilograms total. 3 months after achieving an 800 kilograms total, he managed to add a further 15 kilograms to his competition best total of 800 kilograms, finishing with a total of 815 kilograms after competing at the IPF Arnold Sports Festival in the UK. Importantly, we saw his baseline total projection prior to the 2023 season that stood between 775.05 kilograms and 857.03 kilograms. His lower baseline total projection has progressed most significantly by 3.36% and or 26.01 kilograms if compared with his lower end total projection at the end of Kjell's 2023 season, which stood at 801.06 kilograms. His upper end saw the least progression of 0.90 kilograms and or 0.11%, where prior to the 2023 powerlifting season, Kjell's upper baseline total projection stood at 857.03 kilograms, in parallel to his end of season upper baseline total projection of 857.93 kilograms, with an additional 15 kilograms being added to his competition best total of 800 kilograms at the IPF Arnold Sports Festival, saw his lower end baseline projection of 801.06 kilograms further increased by a 16.10 kilograms margin, resulting in a projection of 817.16 kilograms and an upper baseline total projection of 869.15 kilograms, which represents an increased progression of 11.22 kilograms prior to the 2024 IPF World Classic Championships. As a result, his upper baseline total projection of 869.15 kilograms evidently showed that Kjell had a theoretical probable chance of seriously challenging Austin, whose baseline total projection stood between 863.80 kilograms and 887.26 kilograms. However, Austin's baseline figure still added a theoretical advantage ranging between 18.11 kilograms and 70.01 kilograms. Additionally, if purely accounting for their season best totals, such added Austin an advantage of 24 kilograms. On the other hand, individually, whilst Austin largely had the upper hand if both lower baseline projection were further solely compared, it theoretically appeared to oppositely and Kjell a 5.35 kilograms advantage in assuming a probable overall triumph over a rather bullish Austin. Historically, the median winning margin at prior IPF World Classic Championships stood at 17.5 kilograms. However, individually at last season's IPF World Classic Championships, where we saw the 3-time IPF defending champion Taylor Atwood was thoroughly dominated the weight class for the last 6 seasons, suffered his first defeat by Carl Johansson and Timothy Monigatti. The 2023 IPF World Championships, which was one of the most brutal slugging matchups of the championships, suspensefully ended with both Timothy and Carl finishing with a 0 kilograms difference between the crown champion, Carl, and second place finisher, Timothy. Therefore, if Austin had been forcefully pushed to overexert himself more than he had previously planned on the platform, anything would have been possible at the 2024 IPF World Championships. Austin had a substantial squat advantage of 48 kilograms above Kjell, which Austin achieved at the PA National Trials earlier in the season, where he squatted a colossal world record squat of 318 kilograms, therefore extending his prior squat world record of 313.5 kilograms. Immediately went on a rampage by opening with a squat of 290 kilograms.
When your opening squat is a world record.
His world debut, everybody is watching, eyes are on him. And what a way to start the competition.
In turn, breaking Timothy Monigatti's championship record squat of 283.5 kilograms, which interestingly, his opening squat of 290 kilograms is Austin's second heaviest opening to date, by being 2.5 kilograms below his heaviest squat opening of 292.5 kilograms. Furthermore, quite curiously, his squat opening of 290 kilograms is 22.5 kilograms higher than his average squat opening of 267.5 kilograms. Kjell, who had a season and personal best squat prior to the championships of 270 kilograms, as outlined earlier, theoretically handed a clear advantage to Austin, opened with a squat of 260 kilograms.
Massive. That would have been the world record back in 2023. I say back in like that was a long time ago.
Last year.
Opening with the world record, that's opening bigger than Austin Perkins, and we all know how highly we think of him. What's the top end of Kjell today? 260.
Which is his heaviest opening to date, immediately placing him on the back foot by a 30 kilograms margin. His typical squat opening prior to the championships as a 74 or 75 kilograms athlete stood at 226.25 kilograms. Amazingly, Austin in response squatted 0.5 kilograms above his prior world record squat of 305 kilograms, where he first broke Taylor Atwood's squat world record of 303.5 kilograms with a seemingly confident second squat attempt of 305.5 kilograms.
Whoa, and that moved a lot like his opener.
It's worth noting that his second squat attempt represents an increase of 15.5 kilograms, which is 6.24 kilograms above the weight class's average second squat increment of 9.26 kilograms. Kjell, for his second squat attempt, had the opportunity to possibly reduce Austin's initial 30 kilograms leading margin. Therefore, for his second attempt, increased his squat attempt by a 12.5 kilograms margin, which resulted in a new personal best squat of 272.5 kilograms.
Total.
And that is a strong back on Kjell.
Just 0.96% below his lower baseline squat projection of 275.17 kilograms. Unfortunately, a PR squat of 272.5 kilograms was simply not enough to make up ground upon the front runner's initial lead of 30 kilograms. Instead, Austin's leading margin actually increased by 3 kilograms above Kjell. If each individual reliances are further weighed, meaning the share of which squat, bench and deadlift discipline, on average, makes up an athlete's total. In this instance, Austin historically on average tends to rely almost equally on both the squat, which typically accounts for 37.41% of his totals, and deadlift, which stood at 39.90%. Austin's bench reliance stood at 22.69%, which is 2.1% below Kjell's bench reliance of 24.79%. Comparatively, Austin's prime opponent had a squat reliance of 32.86%, but an even more overwhelming reliance on the deadlift discipline, which amounts to 42.35% of his totals. In direct comparison to Austin, Kjell's historical reliance reflects an athlete who relies on both the bench and much more on the deadlift to build his totals. However, his pure reliance on mainly the bench and deadlift possibly places him at a disadvantage against an athlete that is highly proficient in all three disciplines, such as Austin. However, Austin's primary weapon in his armory whilst entering the championships was indeed the squat, which I stated earlier, handed him an in-season advantage of 48 kilograms above Kjell, in parallel to the bench, where Kjell oppositely had a 5 kilograms advantage, and including a further 14 kilograms advantage above Austin in the deadlift. However, without considering the average vertical linear progression of an athlete, Kjell's consistent reliance on only the bench and deadlift to tactfully build his totals could be a grave oversight in the greater potentiality to build a consistent progressive total if more focus was placed on the squat. For instance, historically, athletes within the 74 or 75 kilograms weight class tends to horizontally add a further 5.96% during a meet to their bench, which numerically amounts to adding an average of 6.28 kilograms to their bench openings. However, a 6.28 kilograms amount being horizontally added to their bench whilst competing is 38.69% lower than the amount being added to an athlete's squat opening on average, which amounts to 8.71 kilograms. Critically, another contributing factor that may affect his level of competitiveness is Kjell's squat reliability, which stood at 8.32%. This means he had a considerable 91.68% chance of failing a squat attempt or attempts. Austin, similarly in comparison, doesn't have the most ample squat reliability, which stood at 37.77%, meaning he had a lower 62.23% chance of failing a squat attempt or attempts. It's worth to additionally note that since last season, Austin has impressively sustained a 100% squat reliability, which is 62.23% above his noted historical reliability of 37.77%. Kjell, also since last season, has sustained a relatively high squat reliability, which stood at 91.67%. In order to maintain his unflinching dominance, Austin increased his final attempt by a 5.5 kilograms margin, which is 3.79 kilograms below his average third squat increment of 9.29 kilograms. That's basically a free fall of 40.80%. Additionally, it was 1.58 kilograms below the weight class's average third squat increment of 7.08 kilograms.
Kilos.
He really took the world record for a ride in this squat session. Just when it looked like it was slowing down a stitch, he lets the crowd know there's plenty more in the tank.
To suggest that the athlete was possibly playing it safe or taking a more conservative approach. Nevertheless, a 5.5 kilograms increment was enough to squat a phenomenal championship record squat of 311 kilograms, just 7 kilograms below his unbelievable world record squat of 318 kilograms. He also scored 2.71% below his lower baseline squat projection of 326.86 kilograms and 4.91% below his upper baseline squat projection of 334.43 kilograms. Kjell concluded the first round of the championships being 38.5 kilograms behind Austin after failing his third squat attempt of 277.5 kilograms.
Lower and potentially lowering his total, whereas Kjell potentially raising his total. Can they meet in the middle and it turns into more of a battle than some anticipated? Kjell, this is where the confidence comes from, but he's got to hit this first. He wants to surprise people. Nope.
Which would have been a further personal best for the athlete. It's worth noting that Austin's leading margin of 38.5 kilograms is in fact the widest margin in the history of the championships. Kjell finished the first round scoring 0.96% below his lower baseline squat projection of 275.17 kilograms and 5.14% below his upper baseline squat projection of 287.26 kilograms, standing on the back foot by a sizable historic deficit of 38.5 kilograms. Fortunately for the overwhelming underdog, the second round of the championships relatively offered Kjell a realistic opportunity to make up some ground on Austin's lead, I stated earlier that Kjell entered the championships with a 5 kilograms lead advantage in the bench above Austin, which simply wasn't enough to position himself to effectively tackle the frontrunner at the finish line for the title. However, if considering both athletes' baseline bench projections, specifically their upper baseline projections, such as Kjell's upper baseline projection of 226.31 kilograms versus Austin's projection of 210.74 kilograms, Kjell had the opportunity to significantly curtail the front runners' early dominance by reducing Austin's leading margin to 22.43 kilograms. That's effectively a whopping 69.42% reduction. For Austin's first bench attempt, he attempted a bench of 187.5 kilograms.
187.5. The world record in this weight class, 212.
Which is 2.5 kilograms above his previous full meet heaviest bench opening of 185 kilograms. Kjell tactfully responded with a bench of 197.5 kilograms.
Proposition, but he's got to do his best. 197.5, multiple-time world champion, Kjell Bakkelund, ended the long reign of Sxore in the equipped division, defeated Taylor Atwood head-to-head in 2017, and here finding himself in the midst of a showdown with Austin Perkins. Those are three very big names in the history of powerlifting. Developed a reputation as a goat slayer.
Yeah, well, if he can also beat Austin to the post, I think it'll be
wow.
Slayer of Giants.
He'd be the thing of legends. But a lot has to happen for that to take place.
Which is 5 kilograms above his prior heaviest bench opening of 192.5 kilograms. A first since the commencement of the two-way battle between both athletes. Kjell had the upper hand with a leading margin of 10 kilograms above Austin, therefore leaving the frontrunner with a provisional leading margin of 28 kilograms. On the back foot for the first time in the championships, Austin, who we witnessed earlier in the season, achieved a personal best bench at the Powerlifting America Bench Press Nationals with a bench of 200 kilograms, increased the second bench attempt by 7.5 kilograms, which is 1.25 kilograms, below his historical average second bench increment of 8.75 kilograms, resulting in a successful attempt of 195 kilograms.
This would best that and already has right there.
Yeah, I think he learned a few lessons from...
Laser focused on sustaining, or better yet, extending his lead within the bench phase of the championships. Kjell attempted a bench of 207.5 kilograms.
Do it within the 3 minutes that he was given. So wanted to make sure he gave himself some time. It's about 30 seconds left on the clock to get that start command, and hopefully the press command this time instead of the rack.
If this is going to happen to anybody, it might as well be Bakkelund. 17 years competing.
Wow!
By increasing the second attempt by a 10 kilograms margin, which is 3.67 kilograms above the 74 or 75 kilograms weight classes, second average bench increment of 6.33 kilograms. Most importantly, his attempt of 207.5 kilograms in turn gave Kjell an additional 2.5 kilograms upon his initial 10 kilograms lead. As such, Austin witnessed a sizable leading margin dwindling to 25.5 kilograms after Kjell's second bench attempt. Nevertheless, appearing rather unfazed by being dominated by Kjell and other rivals throughout the second round of the championships, Austin confidently matched his all-time competition best bench with a third and final bench attempt of 200 kilograms.
Chasing the crown, not PBs today.
Overall, a 200 kilograms bench meant that he scored 3.23% below his lower baseline bench projection of 206.67 kilograms and 5.10% below his upper baseline bench projection of 210.74 kilograms. Unsurprisingly, with a bench reliability of 4.45%, which meant Kjell had a 95.55% chance of failing a bench attempt. Unfortunately for the athlete, he failed his last bench attempt of 210 kilograms.
Yeah, if it's gotta happen to anybody, it might as well happen to a grizzled veteran like him. This probably isn't the first time he's had to retake a weight in almost 20 years of competing.
Yeah, and in that time, still chasing a PB here on his third attempt. Just goes to show how much he's pushing himself.
He bridges the gap from yesteryear.
Not there, unfortunately, today.
Which would have been another PR. In some instances, due to Kjell failing his third bench attempt of 210 kilograms, such may have contributed to making his chance of securing the championship win much more difficult, due to the fact that instead of sustaining or extending his leading margin of 12.5 kilograms in the bench over Austin, who successfully benched 200 kilograms, and as such, as a consequence, saw Kjell's initial lead drop to 7.5 kilograms. This meant that after the bench round, Austin had a 31 kilograms leading margin above Kjell. Kjell finished the second round, scoring 1.22% above his lower baseline bench projection of 205 kilograms and 8.31% below his upper baseline bench projection of 226.31 kilograms. Whilst the focus was primarily both on Austin and Kjell. However, the standout athlete throughout the bench round belonged to Chanchi Afan, who amazingly broke Adrian Poinson's almost decade-long 2015 IPF Championship bench record of 210.5 kilograms, with a stunning bench of 213 kilograms.
Don't leave me hanging like that. And here comes Fan. You're trying to read my lips. Amelia, I thought we were vibing for a minute there.
I'm sorry,
Well,
man.
it's only day 3.
Eddie took the record moments ago. Can Fan extend that and take it back with him today?
Oh! And Fan!
Eddie Berglund was the second heaviest all-time bench of 218 kilograms, wasn't far behind, with a bench of 212.5 kilograms.
But also a 3-lift legend. He's won the 66 kilo open world title back in 2022 in South Africa. Now campaigning as a 74, looking to add another world record to his already stacked resume. Whoa, and there it is.
Therefore, scoring 4.90% above his lower baseline bench projection of 202.56 kilograms and 2.98% below his upper baseline bench projection of 219.04 kilograms. The median leading margin after both squat and bench between first and second standing athletes at prior IPF Worlds stands at 22.5 kilograms. In this instance, Austin assumed a 31 kilograms leading margin ahead of Kjell, which isn't particularly unusual once compared with individual athletes' past leading margins after both the squat and bench rounds. For instance, the widest recorded margin stands at 58 kilograms. Therefore, the question remains, was a 31 kilograms leading margin enough to secure an overall win for Austin? The answer is, not quite. If we only consider past occurrences at each individual IPF championships, There have been 3 instances in the history of the IPF Worlds, including the 2023, 2017, and 2016 IPF Worlds, where the underdog, or an athlete, who was on the back foot after both the squat and bench rounds, managed to emerge victorious over an athlete who had dominated throughout the championships. At the 2017 IPF Worlds, for instance, we saw Kjell and Taylor Atwood partake in a slugging matchup of historic proportion, where Kjell stood 15.5 kilograms behind Taylor after both rounds were finished. However, with absolute pure grit and determination, Kjell, amazingly, handed Taylor his second defeat on the global stage by deadlifting an incredible championship record-setting deadlift of 322 kilograms. Therefore, making up ground by a 39.5 kilograms margin. Such was enough to ultimately handed Kjell both his first IPF World Open title and a world record total of 757 kilograms versus Taylor's personal best total of 733 kilograms. Seeing that Austin was 31 kilograms ahead, such suggested a possibility in Kjell superseding such a leading margin if keeping in mind of his 2017 IPF World performance. Additionally, if accounted for each athlete's season best deadlifts prior to the championships, Kjell had the upper hand with an advantage of 14 kilograms, with a season and personal best deadlift of 340 kilograms, just 0.5 kilograms below Taylor's world record deadlift of 340.5 kilograms versus Austin's season best deadlift of 326 kilograms. Oppositely, once each athlete's baseline deadlift projection figures are additionally considered, the battle to the finish line appeared to be in much favor of Austin. On the lower end, Austin had a baseline projection of 345.47 kilograms, giving him a theoretical 2.79 kilograms advantage in parallel to Kjell's lower baseline projection of 342.68 kilograms. However, there was only a 1 kilograms difference between both athletes based on Austin's upper baseline deadlift projection of 357.66 kilograms, in direct parallel to Kjell's upper baseline projection of 358.66 kilograms. Even if Kjell was to achieve his upper baseline projection of 358.66 kilograms, he would still be in a 30 kilograms deficit. That's if Austin was to achieve a deadlift of 357.66 kilograms. Once added to his subtotal of 511 kilograms, such would equate to a theoretical total of 868.66 kilograms. Even if Austin was to achieve a lower total of 856.47 kilograms, once his lower baseline deadlift projection figure is added to his subtotal of 511 kilograms, the margin appeared too wide of a distance to reduce the deficit. Realistically, Kjell would have needed to rely totally on Austin, failing a deadlift attempt or attempts. We saw that at Taylor Atwood's first appearance at the 2016 IPF World Classic Championships, he went head-to-head in battle with Alexander from Belarus. Taylor pretty much dominated throughout the matchup with a leading margin of 17.5 kilograms ahead of Alexander after both the squat and bench rounds, only to end up failing his final deadlift attempt of 290 kilograms. As a result, he scored 2.03% below his lower baseline total projection of 737.45 kilograms, with a total of 722.5 kilograms, which consequently cost him an opportunity to achieve his first IPF World Open title. If he had successfully deadlifted his third attempt, he would have totaled 735 kilograms, which was 5 kilograms more than Alexander's winning total of 730 kilograms. Therefore, missing an attempt was negatively correlated with impacting Taylor's intended result. Presently, Austin entered the championships with a 53.94% deadlift reliability, which equates to a sizable 46.06% chance of failing a deadlift attempt or attempts, which in turn may consequently provide some degree of opportunity for Kjell to conceivably snatch the overall win. That's if the underdog can battle it out without experiencing any such failure or failures, especially so close to the finish line. Comparatively, the enduring athlete doesn't have the most stellar deadlift reliability, which stood at a stark 4.60%, meaning Kjell had an overwhelming 95.40% chance of failing an attempt or attempts. However, during his last two meets, where Kjell achieved both personal best totals prior to the championships, he managed to compete without experiencing any such failure or failures within the deadlift, which demonstrated his ability to compete at maximal efficiency within the deadlift. For the new risen king of the 74 or 75 kilograms weight class, Austin opened with a deadlift of 300 kilograms.
300 kilos even, solidifying his total and keeping his record.
Yeah, it says here his deadlift PB is 326. I think from memory that was pretty comfortable for him. This already would give him an 811 kilo total. Currently several kilos ahead of Bakkelund. Wow!
His lowest deadlift opening since last season at his season opening meet, where he deadlifted 285 kilograms for his opening attempt. Prior to the 2023 season, Austin's average deadlift opening stood at 274.17 kilograms. Being fully aware of needing to make up significant ground upon the front runner, Kjell responded with a thumping deadlift of 322.5 kilograms.
Yeah, his PB is 340, which I believe is the current world record deadlift.
This will lock in an 802.5 kilo total.
Let's see how this moves. Let's wait for the lights there.
Which drastically reduced Austin's lead from 31 kilograms to 8.5 kilograms. This is a massive tailspin of 72.58%, being shaved off Austin's lead. Curiously, to put Kjell's 322.5 kilograms deadlift opening into further context, comparatively, its deadlift of 322.5 kilograms is the heaviest opening amongst the remaining top 10 74 or 75 kilograms athletes, which on average opens with a deadlift of 300.5 kilograms. Seeing his lead dramatically reduced, Kjell forcibly place Austin in an uncomfortable position in actually needing to fight for the IPF World title, rather than simply cruising to the finish line. Therefore, we saw Austin increase the second attempt by a 17.5 kilograms margin, 5.86 kilograms above the group's average of 11.64 kilograms, resulting in a deadlift of 317.5 kilograms.
337.5. This should be well within his means. 20 kilos below that. Not expecting disaster, but you see the pathway Norway is trying to lean on. Well, that's going to be very difficult now.
Individually, its historical median increment for a second deadlift attempt stood at 17.5 kilograms. Consequently, a deadlift of 317.5 kilograms saw Austin clawed back a 26 kilograms leading margin. But was he able to sustain his wide leading margin? Kjell, for his second attempt, successfully attempted a deadlift of 332.5 kilograms.
Very casually scrolls up to the loaded barbell. He needs us to move fast. He really does.
Yeah, Tim is right behind him, putting 343 in for his third attempt, hoping Kjell will miss.
So what he was trying to do to Perk, Tim's trying to do to him. Looks like he might have...
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to make a sufficient dent into Austin's lead. He was only able to reduce Austin's lead to 16 kilograms. The chance of successfully deadlifted a third attempt, where we witnessed Kjell increase his final attempt beyond 16 kilograms, is rather unlikely. Even with an upper baseline deadlift projection of 358.66 kilograms. Generally, athletes competing within the 74 or 75 kilograms weight class tend to increase their final deadlift attempts by an 8.34 kilograms margin. Historically, in 2016, at the NSF meet, where the world first witnessed, Kjell broke the deadlift world record with a deadlift of 325 kilograms. We saw Kjell vertically increase the second deadlift attempt by 20 kilograms and a further 20 kilograms for his third attempt. Also, in the 2017 season, where he further extended his deadlift world record by a 0.5 kilograms margin with a deadlift of 325.5 kilograms, Kjell decided to similarly increase his second attempt by 20 kilograms and unconventionally increase his third attempt by 20.5 kilograms, 0.5 kilograms more than his second attempt. We also saw, most recently, at the IPF Arnold Sports Festival early in the season, where Kjell increased his second deadlift attempt by a 15 kilograms margin and a further 12.5 kilograms being added to his final deadlift attempt, which resulted with a stunning PR deadlift of 340 kilograms. However, at the 2024 IPF Worlds, Kjell only managed to add a further 10 kilograms for a second attempt of 332.5 kilograms, which in some instances highlighted that he wasn't on a world record pace. For Kjell to have possibly defeated Austin, he would have needed to actually achieve his highlighted deadlift upper baseline projection of 358.66 kilograms, which would equate to a final total of 838.66 kilograms. However, to achieve a 358.66 kilograms deadlift, he would have needed to sharply increase his third deadlift attempt by a 26.16 kilograms margin. Percentage-wise, that's a 161.60% increase, more than his second deadlift increment of 10 kilograms, almost tripling his third attempt. Conclusively, the writing was written on the wall that it was the end of the road for Kjell's hopes of securing a second IPF World Open title, which were dashed after his second deadlift attempt. To wrap up his campaign, he attempted a final unsuccessful deadlift of 337.5 kilograms.
This will give him 817.5. Kjell, your world silver medalist. He will also be at World Games 2025.
Which is 2.5 kilograms below his personal best deadlift of 340 kilograms. Overall, Kjell finished the championships with a slight regressive total of 812.5 kilograms, a comparative regression of 0.31% and or 2.5 kilograms once compared with his personal best total of 815 kilograms. He further finished the IPF World Championships, scoring 0.62% below his lower baseline total projection of 817.5 kilograms and 6.97% below his upper baseline total projection of 869.15 kilograms. Kjell's meet KPI score, which comprehensively measures his overall performance, stands at 79.11%. Austin, who extinguished any such claims to the IPF World title and a guaranteed invite to the 2025 Sheffield Championships, deadlifted 325 kilograms for his final attempt of the championships.
Extended the total record by quite a way already.
Smooth, easy pull for Austin. And that is your 74-kilo Open World Champion.
Scoring 5.93% below his lower baseline deadlift projection of 345.47 kilograms and 9.13% below his upper baseline projection of 357.66 kilograms. This meant that he finished with an IPF Championship record total of 836 kilograms. Therefore, absolutely obliterating Taylor Atwood's former championship record total of 790.5 kilograms, which has stood since 2019. Surprisingly to some, on paper, an 836 kilograms total would qualify as a worst-case scenario total for Austin. Considering he scored 3.22% below his lower baseline projection of 863.80 kilograms. This also meant totaling 1.76% and or 15 kilograms below his world record total of 851 kilograms. Austin further scored 5.78% below his upper baseline total projection of 887.26 kilograms. Ultimately, walking away with his first IPF World Open title. He further finished the championships with a meet KPI score of 82.26%, and indeed, his stranglehold over the weight class remains firmly intact.